So a surprise tournament happened in Seville this past weekend, and Zamazenta is the one that came out on top. Huzzah for Zamazenta! Welcome everybody to another Pokemon VGC video. It's me, Ketsu, and today we're going to be talking about a few top teams that happened this past weekend in Seville, which was actually pretty solid. There was a few cool random teams that I wasn't really expecting to see here. A lot of Pokemon that were kind of in the limelight managed to just show up this past weekend, which was really cool. So we're going to be looking at 4 teams here and just going up all the way from top 16 to the number 1 slot, and just talk about some teams that I think were really cool as we lock off this whole Regulation G era once and for all. And we're going to start off with the top 16 team, which was made by Xavier Vasquez, with a Zacian team of all things. Zacian getting top 16 is very impressive. This is a really impressive team here, and I am yeah, I'm very impressed. I think this is very cool. I think it's a very impressive team here. So we're going to start things off here with the Rillaboom Assault Vest, pretty much standard set here, but this time we go Terra Water and not Terra Fire, which we're used to for Rillaboom, which I think is also pretty nice. You still have that whole fire resistance, which is quite nice. For Rillaboom mirror matchup, it doesn't seem that crazy, but I guess it's a way to stay clear of things like Landorus or things like Groudon while still being able to hit it for super effective damage if it doesn't Terra, which is okay in some form. Water has become like a very good typing defensively, and you're seeing a lot more of water type Terras coming around a lot more, which I think is quite unique and quite nice. So Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide, U-turn, Fake Out, same standard stuff for Rillaboom there. Going into the Chi-Yu, this time with the Covert Cloak and not going into the Choice Scarf, which again we're usually seeing on Chi-Yu, and also the Terra Dragon. But the fact that you don't have the Choice Scarf means that you do get access to Protect, and also you get Snarl, Dark Pulse, and Heat Wave just to make sure you can kind of hit these moves off very nicely here. And the Terra Dragon is quite nice as well, just to stay clear of water typings, mainly for Rapid Strike Urshifu, which is again not exactly a big deal. And Covert Cloak also helps you get past Fake Out as well, which is quite nice without having to burn a Ghost Terra type to make sure you could just get a move off straight away. So it's quite nice, and it also prevents you from getting hit from Snarl as well. So Covert Cloak, really good item, pretty nice on Chi-Yu. Let's go. The Choice Scarf, Rapid Strike Urshifu with the Terra Ghost to prevent Fake Out usage getting done as well. Surging Strikes, Close Combat Coaching, U-turn. Coaching obviously being there to buff up Zacian, or as well as things like Rillaboom as well, which is obviously quite nice there. The coaching can come in clutch with a few good things, but I think mainly it's for the Zacian, just to get like a little bit of extra damage. That way, instead of going +1, you're now +2, and if you really want to carry on with it, you can be +3, +4, etc, and it's really good. It's a really nice thing to go for here, and U-turn is just really good for pivoting. Surging Strikes, Close Combat, just the best stab moves that you got for Rapid Strike Urshifu. Now, time for the big boy Zacian. So of course we have the Rusted Sword, which turns it into a Fairy Steel type, which is a very good typing. In fact, the best typing in the game, a lot would say. Also going into the Terra Grass to stay clear of Amoonguss with Rage Powder and Spore and things like that. You are still weak to fire regardless of how you Terra, which I think is kind of the downside for Zacian. I've seen a lot of people go Terra Ground on Zacian to get rid of fire types, but again, Terra Grass isn't exactly the worst thing to go for. We've seen it on the Zamazenta as well, which is also part Steel. So again, just getting rid of that whole fire type usage, and considering that you do have Pelipper there, which we'll get to in a second, you do have a way of kind of nerfing fire types to make sure Zacian can survive just a little bit longer. Protect, Play Rough, Iron Head, and Substitute as well is also a very nice move here. So obviously Iron Head turns into Behemoth Blade when it goes into its crown form, which is quite nice, and Substitute is quite unique. This way it keeps Zacian alive for a little bit longer, having to just take a blow or two, which I think is really nice and really effective here. Normally you'd see something like Sacred Sword take up this last slot for something to deal with Zamazenta, which is quite nice. So it's kind of cool to see more of a passive Zacian going into Substitute instead of going for that more ultra aggressive set that we've seen for Zacian. Next up is the Pelipper with the safety goggles, again to stay clear of things like Amoonguss or things like Spore, which is quite nice. Going into Terra Ghost as well. Protect, Weather Ball, Hurricane, and Wide Guard. No Focus Sash on the Pelipper, which is quite unique. I don't think any of these guys run Focus Sash. I don't think so, and we've not seen the Landorus yet, but I'm pretty sure Landorus is Life Orb, but I don't think anyone runs Focus Sash here, which is really strange. I would have thought at least Chi-Yu or Pelipper would have carried the Focus Sash. Shifu, I can understand having the Choice Scarf, especially with that coaching, but I would have thought Chi-Yu and Pelipper would have probably carried that Focus Sash to make things a little bit more frequent, but I guess not. And then finally for Landorus with the Life Orb, Sheer Force, Terra Water, standard stuff here, Protect, Earth Power, Stand, Storm, and Sludge Bomb, same standard stuff that we've seen with Landorus here as well. Next up is the number 14 made by Andre Marquez, who runs an Eternatus team. Now, kudos for bringing Eternatus into top 4. Let's go. I'm such an Eternatus fan. I think Eternatus does have capabilities of being a really good restricted Pokemon, honestly. It's just, if it had a different ability, I'm almost more than sure this thing would be so dominant in the metagame. But we do run a Power Herb set here. Again, something that we're not used to seeing here. We normally see Choice Specs or Life Orb. Those are the main 2 things that we see on Eternatus here. So seeing Power Herb, especially with that Meteor Beam, is very unique here, which I'm kind of a fan of. I think that's quite nice here. Dynamax Cannon, Me Too, Beam, Sludge Bomb, and Protect. Just really 3 big aggressive moves that can just kind of clear Pokemon as fast as possible, which I'm pretty sure is the game plan here. Just be as fast as possible, hit as hard as possible before Eternatus goes down, and then you can kind of just run with the game after that. You have the Incineroar with the safety goggles. I also don't know why the sprite is not loading in the corner here, but just ignore that one. Going into Terra Water as well, not Terra Ghost, which we're used to seeing. We have the safety goggles as well, Fake Out, Knockoff, Taunt, and Parting Shot. Normally we'd see something like Will-O-Wisp or things like Flare Blitz, but this time we're running a bit of a Taunt here, just to kind of shut down things like Trick Room, just to kind of shut down setup moves here, which again is a very, very unique thing to go for here. Incineroar is not really been that much of a Taunt user in the past movesets. It's been there, it's been here and there, but it's not been like the definite moveset for Incineroar. Again, normally we see something like Will-O-Wisp or Flare Blitz, not Taunt, which is quite strange. So yeah, it was kind of unique to see this on Incineroar. We have the Volcarona with the Rocky Helmet, also going into the Terra Steel, Rage Powder, Will-O-Wisp, Heat Wave, and Struggle Bug. This is more of a supportive Volcarona instead of the more aggressive one, which I am more of a fan of. I think the whole Quividance Volcarona is a lot more, definitely a lot more aggressive, and is definitely my preference in the whole grand scheme of things. But definitely more of a supportive Volcarona is also very, very nice and very, very unique. And the fact that you've got Rocky Helmet and a mixture of Flame Body as well means that not only if you do Rage Powder, they're hitting you for good damage, you're also getting a chance of Flame Body for physical attackers, which is something that you just don't want to get hit by, which is just all the way crazy. We have the Booster Energy Roaring Moon, pretty much standard set here, going into Terra Flying, Tailwind, Knockoff, Acrobatics, Protect, standard stuff for Roaring Moon here. We have the Focus Sash Urshifu going into Terra Stellar, again, same standard stuff here, Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and Detect, and then Assault Vest, Rillaboom, Terra Water, Fake Out, Grass Glide, Wood Hammer, U-Turn, same standard stuff for Rillaboom, and again, going into Terra Water, not Terra Fire this time, which I think is actually becoming a bit more unique, because I think things like Kyogre is coming a lot more useful now, so it's kind of makes a difference. And especially if you're locked into something like Trick Room with Ice Rider Calyrex, yeah, sure, you can go Terra Fire for Rillaboom to stay clear of Glacial Lance, but then you're just going to get hit by High Horsepower the turn afterwards. So Terra Water, this way you still resist Glacial Lance, but you don't get super effective damage off the High Horsepower, which I think is more of the game plan here, going into Terra Water Rillaboom rather than the Terra Fire that we're used to. Then next up is the number 2 team made by Alberto Canuello, who ran a very unique Shadow Rider Calyrex team. A lot more of supportive ones here to keep Shadow Rider up front here, but we do have the Tornadoes with the Cobra Cloak and the Terra Dark to stay clear of other Shadow Rider Calyrexes, Bleak Windstorm, Taunt, Rain Dance, and Tailwind. Again, just really good standard stuff for Tornadoes here. The Shadow Rider Calyrex itself runs the Life Orb and Terra Grass, again to stay clear of things like Spore, as well as getting clear of things like Grassy Glide from Rillaboom or Rapid Strike Urshifu, Astral Barrage, Giga Drain, Nasty Plot, Protect. This way, instead of running things like a Draining Kiss or running things like, say for example, what's another one, like a Psychic that we've seen on Shadow Rider Calyrex, this time we're running a Giga Drain. It has a lot more base damage than Draining Kiss, but at the same time going into that Terra Grass, it's a lot more damaging. And on top of that, you're still hitting Rapid Strike Urshifu for weakness, because since Rapid Strike Urshifu can just go into Terra Water, which is its most favored Terra type, or Terra Stellar, instead of going for Draining Kiss, where there's a good chance that Urshifu can just go into Terra Water and stay clear of super effective damage on that, you can just go Terra Grass, Giga Drain, and you're still hitting Rapid Strike Urshifu, whether it goes Terra Water, Terra Stellar, or just stays in the base form. And it's really great. It's a really good way to shut everything out, and considering that Terra Water is becoming a lot more popular as well, it makes it a lot easier to hit the super effective hits on with Giga Drain rather than a much weaker Draining Kiss. We have the Terra Ghost Focus Sash Smeargle. Of course, Smeargle had to be there somewhere. Of course he did. Follow Me, Wide Guard, Sport, and Fake Out. Standard stuff for Smeargle there. Again, nothing really too crazy here. You've got the Spore to kind of shut things down quite easily. Follow Me and Wide Guard and Fake Out all have priority, so it doesn't matter how fast this Smeargle is, it will always make sure that these 3 moves come out first before anything happens. And then yeah, of course, Spore just makes things a lot more harder to kind of pivot in and out of, because if you leave Smeargle unchecked, he's just going to put your whole team to sleep, and then the rest of them is just going to kind of dominate the game afterwards. We have the Terra Ground Eevee like Clefairy with Friend Guard. Follow Me, Helping Hand after you protect. Same standard stuff here for Clefairy. I pretty much like it. Terra Ground is quite new, and I am a fan of it, to be quite honest with you. I think it helps stay clear of poison types as well, which is quite nice, which you'd see here and there from things like, again, Eternatus or things like Amoonguss. It's quite nice. It's a quite nice Terra type to go for here, and I like it. I like it for Clefairy. Then we go back into the original Rillaboom set: Terra Fire, Assault Vest, Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide, U-Turn, Fake Out. It's Rillaboom, man. There's not really much else to say about it. It's just the same standard set for Rillaboom here. And the Mystic Water, Terra Water, Urshifu with Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, Detect. Again, same standard set for Urshifu. Can't really complain there. They're both great. They're both really, really good here. It's really cool to see that Smeargle and Clefairy working in support here, as well as Tornadoes getting potential speed on everything as well, which is really, really nice here. you wouldn't think that 3 damaging Pokemon would be able to get so high up in a tournament, but the fact that you've got just these really good support mons with you is just really, really good here. And kudos to the Shadow Rider team for coming in second too. But of course, we cannot talk about second place without talking about first place. And this first place team with Zamazenta was made by Aiko Rodrigo. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy that Zamazenta actually won something. I'm so happy. We got the Focus Sash, Xianpao with the Terra Ghost, Icicle Crash, Throat Drop, Sucker Punch, Protect. Standard stuff for Xianpao, especially if you're running with a terrain user like Rillaboom. We have the Half Flame, Ogerpon, Ivy Cudgel, Grassy Glide, Follow Me, Spiky Shield. Grassy Glide was quite unique as well, considering that most times you'd see a Wood Hammer, but the fact that Ogerpon also gets Grassy Glides means you can take priority inside of Rillaboom's grassy terrain as well, so you have 2 mons that can hit priority damage as well, which is, again, really good here. You have the Rillaboom with the Assault Vest, Terra Water, Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide, U-Turn, Fake Out. Again, standard stuff for Rillaboom here. Rapid Strike, Urshifu with the Choice Scarf, going into Terra Water, Surging Strikes, Close Combat, U-Turn, Coaching. Coaching has come up a lot more, especially in things like Zacian and Zamazenta teams, just because coaching is just so much of a dominant force. It's just really good. It is a really good moveset to give out for Urshifu here, because normally you would see something like Aqua Jet, but considering that Aqua Jet is priority and doesn't really do that much, you're kind of essentially wasting the Choice Scarf in most aspects, because you're already getting faster than Rillaboom, you're already getting faster than Raging Bolt. It's just, coaching just works a lot better, especially with Zacian and Zamazenta teams. Speaking of the Zamazenta teams, we have the Rusted Shield going into Terra Ghost to steer clear of other Zamazenta that wants to hit this thing for super effective Body Press. Iron Head, which turns to Behemoth Bash in its crown form. Body Press, Wide Guard Protect. Standard stuff for Zamazenta, can't really complain there. And then lastly is the Choice Band Dragonite going into Terra Normal with the Inner Focus, Outrage, Extreme Speed, Aerial Ace, and Stomping Tantrum. We have not seen Dragonite pop up in a hot minute. I personally have not seen Dragonite pop up in a hot minute, but seeing the Choice Band Dragonite was absolutely amazing. I remember using this before, especially with Xianpao. You just hit so much crazy damage so quickly. It is absolutely insane how much you see this thing just absolutely pop off. It's crazy. But now we get onto one of my personal favorites of this video and going into the top restricted Pokemon of the past weekend. So going into day 1 for the top 8 restricted Pokemon, Shadow Rider Calyrex staying up at the top spot, of course, as it always does for these tournaments, then followed by the Bikes and also Ice Rider Calyrex. Then we also have Lunala, Terrapagos, Kyogre, and Zamazenta in the back line at 7.3%, just tailing Kyogre at 7.5, which I think this is quite standard here. Ever since Lunala came up in the top 8, we've not seen Groudon. Like, we have absolutely just not seen Groudon here. Like, I think everything just clears off Groudon very well here. The matchup against Kyogre just doesn't work too much. It's not that bulky in comparison to Lunala. It's really just, it shuts things down a lot. Like, it gets shut down a lot by a lot of these teams here. So Groudon not popping up is quite strange, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see somewhat of a resurgence in Groudon when we hit Reg I anyway. But I like the top 8 here. The top 8 is very nice, very fresh. And going into the non-restricted of day 1, of course the top 3 is just running the board here. Shifu, Incineroar, Rillaboom pretty much hitting the top 3 spots, of course, because they're the big 3. We also have Cornerstone Ogerpon, and we have Half Flame Ogerpon near the ending there, but Cornerstone is just a little bit more used, I guess, because of that sturdy ability just being really useful for Ogerpon. We have the Raging Bolt here, also tailing that is Fluttermane, just a 0.2% difference here. Raging Bolt has become a lot more of a staple in teams in comparison to Fluttermane. I think just because Fluttermane has just got the download on it already, everybody kind of knows how to get past Fluttermane. You kind of know either to force it out with Shadow Rider Calyrex, a good dark type move from something like Xianpao can take it out pretty nicely. But in exchange for something like Raging Bolt, where it's more bulky, it hits almost just as hard, and it's just a really good typing. Electric Dragon is just a really good offensive typing. Outside of Miraidon, it's just really good. It's a really good Pokemon. It's a really good typing. The fact that it also gets Thunderclap as well is just a really unique move. It's great. It's a really good move, and I think Raging Bolt is just absolutely amazing. My personal favorite past Paradox Pokemon. Personally my favorite Paradox Pokemon of all time. Let me know what your one is, but I love Raging Bolt. I absolutely love Raging Bolt. Then of course we have support mons like Tornadus, like Amoonguss, and Indeedee, all coming up in the top spot as well. All of them are just really good, really dominant. I can't wait to see how each of them work within Regulation I. I think all of them are just super good Pokemon, honestly. Like, they are just really cracked out Pokemon. And then going into day 2, looking at the top 8 restricted again, Ice Rider Calyrex actually overtook it this time, and I'm not surprised. Ice Rider Calyrex is a really good sturdy Pokemon. It's really good inside of Trick Room. In fact, I think, like we've said this before, I think it's personally at its peak inside of Trick Room. That's just me personally. But it's also really good outside of Trick Room just because of how crazy bulky this thing is. Like, it is really good outside of Trick Room if you want it to be. Of course, we've seen it get paired up in like a Tail Room team in the past as well. It's just a really good Pokemon. Honestly, it is a very good Pokemon. Shadow Rider Calyrex quickly behind that, going into Miraidon as well. Terapagos actually coming up into the top 4 is quite surprising to me, and also Zamazenta reaching up to Eternatus. Again, like what we saw a few weeks ago, coming up into the top 8 is amazing. Again, I keep saying this, but I really do think Eternatus does have a good footing here in the metagame. Its typing is just really, really good and really, really solid. And I cannot wait again to see how this thing plays up in Reg I. I think Eternatus is definitely going to show up a lot more. Thanks to Terra, thanks to its teammates. It's going to be such a good mon, honestly. Then going into the day 2 non-restricted Pokemon, of course, top 3 still running the format again. Ogerpon shortly behind that. Amogus and Iron Hands have kind of come up a little bit in comparison to Raging Bolt, who has gone down. Same with Tornadus, and Ditto has all of a sudden come through. I was not expecting to see Ditto here, but it was very interesting because Ditto does have a very unique play here. So the fact that it can transform into any Pokemon that it's facing is really, really good. So if you position it quite nicely, you can make it transform into a restricted Pokemon. And most Dittos run a Focus Sash. That way, if you are going up against something like a Shadow Rider Calyrex, for example, you're just going to be able to tank one hit in comparison to their Shadow Rider Calyrex, where you can just take them out in one shot. So you essentially have to force them to double hit the Ditto, in which case, if there's a good ally around, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it in time. Then it gives him something to set up with. It gives them something to hit back with. So Ditto being able to just copy anybody, especially if it's a good restricted like Zamazenta, who copies not only the +1 defense boost that it gets originally, but then copies the ability Dauntless Shield, which essentially gets it to +2 of a Zamazenta, which is very, very crazy. And again, nothing that you can essentially 2-shot here or 1-shot here because it's just crazy bulky. And then again, something like Kyogre doesn't get got down with very well. Shadow Rider Calyrex can just, you know, get hit back with super effective damage. There's just a lot. There's a lot to go through here. There's a lot of factors to go through here. So Ditto is a very, very good countermeasure into pretty much any restricted, because if you're not hitting super effective damage into yourself, it's going to take more than 2, maybe 3 shots to get rid of. Then we have the Landorus, which I think is, again, quite unique. I think Landorus is a very, very good Pokemon. I've been personally using it for my Reg I team. I think Landorus is just a fantastic Pokemon. He's really, really good. Grimmsnarl and Screamtail following in the backline, though, is very, very unique. Grimmsnarl taking up screens is great. I've been on this hill for months now, for like almost a year, that screens are the way forward. I personally think that screens are the way forward. I think that screens are going to be such a dominant force of nature, and it works really, really well here. I think screens are just a fantastic measure to go through, and it's like, yes, you do have to rely on critical hits, but the only one that can do it consistently enough is only Urshifu. And again, Urshifu can't one-shot an entire 4-man team. There's no way. So you got to position it very nicely. So I think screens are just a fantastic countermeasure to go through here. And Screamtail, again, is a very, very good support Pokemon, especially with that boosted energy speed, disable, encore. It's got all of these good countermeasures just to make sure that no matter what you do, you're kind of like trapped in a box, and you got to think about your next 2-3 moves very, very carefully, because Screamtail can either disable it or encore it, and you're just stuck essentially for the rest of the game. It is a very, very unique Pokemon. I really do like Screamtail in terms of support. It's a fantastic mon. Grimmsnarl as well is a fantastic mon, but it's nice to see that there's a lot more Pokemon sharing the limelight now, especially in this top, especially in this top set here, especially at the end of Regulation G, where we're now transitioning to Regulation I. Maybe these mons will stay here, maybe these mons might go away again, maybe it's just a fleeting moment. We'll never know until we see the next regional in Regulation I. But that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this little recap. If you guys did enjoy this, let me know by leaving a like down below, and also telling me what your favorite team was this past weekend, as well as what your favorite restricted Pokemon is through Regulation G. Also, let me know what you're looking forward to about Regulation I. I think this is definitely the final thing before Regulation I kicks in. I think we are only, I believe, like 2-3 days out for Regulation I. So yeah, so this was quite a unique thing to see. I generally thought we wasn't going to get anything crazy in terms of tournaments before Regulation I anymore since the past weekend before this, but it's been pretty cool. Regulation G has been pretty cool again to see. It's been nice to see, you know, foundations getting changed up a little bit here, but I am now full on ready for Regulation I to be a thing now. So let me know what you think about Regulation I, and I will see you all in the next video. Right guys, take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.